Hi everyone, I'm Dave.
And it's Richard here.
And today we're taking a look at a cross-platform comparison of Far Cry Primal across PlayStation 4, Xbox One and the PC.
So we're kicking off here with the consoles, right?
Yes.
And what are the major differences? Because from where I'm sitting it looks very close indeed.
Yeah, well, with the consoles, there's really only sort of one major difference between the two, and that's with regards to resolution. PlayStation 4 is native 1080p, while on Xbox One we're looking at around about 1440 by 1080, so a kind of like small horizontal upscale there.
Yeah, we actually measured 1440 by 1080 on Far Cry 4, and yeah, I believe that it's the same on Far Cry Primal. It's very difficult to tell because we need hard geometric edges for analysis, and there aren't really so many on this game. It's very sort of natural and organic looking.
Yeah, it's very soft focus across both consoles, and the main area where we can see the resolution difference here is across the foliage on the Xbox One. As you can see here, it looks a little bit rougher on Microsoft's platform, but outside of that the two look pretty close.
Well, assuming that we are using the same Far Cry 4 technology there is the HRAA anti-aliasing, which I think we discussed in the performance video, where it actually combines post-process with temporal supersampling. So essentially it brings in data from previous frames into the current one to smooth off the edges. And if we are looking at parity with Far Cry 4, you will find that the PlayStation 4 brings in more data from more frames compared to the Xbox One. But otherwise, well, as you can see, it looks pretty fantastic on both systems.
Yeah, and it's pretty much an identical presentation, so streaming, asset work and the full range of effects are handled equally between both platforms. I think if I was going to nitpick, then you might be able to see a difference in shadows if you look really hard in still screenshots, but during gameplay it's not noticeable at all.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the PC version. We're going to be comparing with the PlayStation 4, and we're at 1080p maximum settings on PC, right?
Yep, fully maxed out, and we're using SMAA for anti-aliasing. What's interesting is that the SMAA algorithm looks like it's been improved over Far Cry 4. If you look across like the foliage and the trees, you'll notice there's less shimmering that we saw in the previous game. It looks like it's a little bit closer to the PS4 game in terms of image quality this time around.
Yeah, HRAA, which is used on the consoles, can't actually be done in DX11 as I understand it, which is why they've had to drop back to SMAA. But it still looked pretty good on Far Cry 4, and it looks even better here. So what else have we got to see here?
See, outside of the anti-aliasing differences, the main benefits over the console versions on the PC come in the form of little refinements here and there. So on certain trees and rocks we see the use of tessellation, which adds extra bumps over edges and smooths them over.
Far Cry 4 did that as well, but again it's one of those things where you really need to be close up to the trees to actually see the difference.
And sometimes it doesn't seem to be applied to every sort of tree. It's hit or miss in that respect.
Yeah, it's very much a case that the PC version, like many of these multi-platform titles, takes the console version and refines it with stuff that isn't really readily apparent to the human eye unless you're kind of doing direct A to B comparisons. And even then, looking at this, there's still not really that much in it, is there?
No, I think this time around with Far Cry Primal in general, the console versions have been given kind of an upgrade, so they look closer to, say, the PC version of Far Cry 4 in terms there's not as many differences that come through. So in terms here, if we're looking at the volumetric effects, the console and PC are identical. We see the same full fogging effect all across the environment, the same high quality volumetric lighting. So the PC no longer has an advantage in sort of these areas.
It seems that a lot of the time when we're dealing with multi-platform comparisons, essentially it comes down to PC offering scalability in terms of resolution and frame rate. And well, you've been playing this at 60 FPS on the PC. How does that change the experience?
Oh, it's a lot better. But the biggest thing for me was the sort of lateral motion. Whenever you sort of spin the camera around or have to sort of move around quickly, there's no judder. Whereas on consoles, even a smooth 30 FPS can still look a little juddery at times, especially when the camera's shaking. And you just don't get that on PC.
Yeah, and of course you can combine that with keyboard and mouse controls for a much more intuitive one-to-one interface, but even with the controller it feels a lot smoother. So it looks like the PC version offers minor refinements, but nothing that's really game-changing. And I guess for most people it's going to be the scalability in terms of resolution and refresh rate that really does make a difference here.
Yep, by far the biggest gain is the ability to run at 60 frames per second, and even if you have to drop one or two settings down, you're not going to really be impacting graphical quality in a noticeable way. So it holds up pretty well in that respect.
Good stuff. Okay, well that's all we've got for now. We've got Far Cry Primal, PC and console performance videos elsewhere on the channel, so please do check that out. Do like and subscribe to support our work, but in the meantime, thanks for watching.